Thank you, pretend audience. Good morning. Okay. So, it's been 22 days. Feels like longer, doesn't it? 1,439 to go. And it's very hard to know how to be of service to people. And this is something that I've been sitting and thinking about. You know, I think a few people, I talk to a few people behind the scenes, and a lot of it is just sort of watch and wait, paralysis, not knowing what to do, especially in tech, because, one of the things I said yesterday was, where did all this money go? Where did all the think tank money about saving, all of this tech and democracy? And they're all awful quiet right now. Wasn't there one job to stop this? And I'm sitting there going, well, where did all the money go? Where's your solutions? Are you doing anything? And, there's all these think tanks that were sort of, funded by, either philanthropy or the government or universities or, these corporate partnership think tanks. Apparently they were focused on solutions to the threat of tech. Apparently they were focused on regulation. Apparently they were focused on preventing this. and they haven't got any answers. And I don't think anyone does. I think a lot of it was, frog in cold water to boiling water situation. I think that, if I saw it coming, if I saw this whole thing with tech coming years ago, then surely the people that were paid millions of dollars to see it and come up with a solution have a solution now. And that was my first thought. My first thought has been, where the fuck are all of these people that were paid to do this for their jobs? They were paid to regulate. They were paid to put safeguards around democracy. They were paid to do all of these things, and they're nowhere to be seen. They're still releasing their white papers and their one-page websites talking about how maybe data's a bit should be contained and that privacy is an issue, and a lot of press releases, but not a lot of agility or action. Now, again, sometimes, especially when you're dealing with legal issues, complex legal issues, or threats like this, it takes some time. I get it. You need some lead time. You need to prepare. You can't go in, especially with someone like Elon Musk, you get one shot. You don't get more than one chance. Okay, you get one shot. So I get that, right? But my main thought has been, okay, what can I do daily to at least help contain the brain rot? At least a little bit, okay? Now, if you're on X, you'll see that there's a fucking zombie apocalypse going on right now, okay? Anyone with brains, anyway, don't worry. Brains. But, it is effectively, it feels like a zombie apocalypse, if not a graveyard, okay? But I do feel like there isn't much that anyone can do at the ground level until, okay, let me think. My instinct, my impulse is to scream at people and go, what the fuck were you doing? Where were you? Why aren't you doing anything? Okay. That's my impulse. That's my emotional lizard brain going, fucking, where the fuck, why you got $100 million to work on this? Where are you? That stuff. Okay. All of these fucking think tanks and NGOs and, tech policy people who have been dismissive of these problems for many years. They think that not paying attention to internet chatter and the culture wars, that they were above it. And it was like, well, no, you're not above it, because if you didn't think, you need to be paying attention to this, because this is the stuff that people are watching and paying attention to, which is this fucking culture wars rhetoric, this absolute wash or flood of shit that is sort of claiming people in its wake. And for me, I get overwhelmed whenever I think about trying to take that on. I don't have the resources. I don't have the connections. I'm shadow banned to fuck. I'm algo fucked until whatever, okay? I can't write online because I can't get reach, okay? I can't post online because, it's just unpleasant. So I need a different, one of the things that I've always done is, because I'm a bit contrarian, is to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing, right? There's that famous Einstein quote of, insanity is the definition. What is it? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And it rings true for me right now, because everyone's been trying the same thing and it hasn't worked. Okay, so we've tried policing it, tried suppressing it. People just keep getting angrier and angrier and stupider and stupider. A lot of it is astroturfed, okay? Let me just emphasize, a lot of this stuff is 5 people with 5,000 accounts, okay? They are not representative of the majority of people. So for me, my challenge has always been, okay, how do you try to reach ordinary people? What can we do every day to change hearts and minds to get people on a better track? Like, we've got 2 elections coming up, okay? We've got a state election here in Western Australia, which I think will be okay because the Labor government won in a landslide last time, and I don't think that they could actually, mathematically, even if there was a landslide in the other direction, they probably can't take government, right? That's how big this it was before. But there's been 2 elections where our Labor government, there's been a vote away from them. Now, a part of that is because it's in Victoria, where the Labor government, landlords are mad at being regulated, okay? So there's lots of different reasons, okay? But people are voting away from the Labor government in favour of micro parties, okay? Usually that indicates that the protest vote is getting larger. So people are discontented. So there's still ultimately preferences are flowing to Labor in a second and third degree manner. Whoops, excuse me. But their protest vote, their primary votes are going to small parties, independents. That usually indicates, if you understand voter behaviour, that usually indicates that people are fed up and they want something different and that they're angry. Okay. And because I've always been interested in conflict resolution, how you sort of we're in quite literally in an accelerationist period. Okay, when you look at what's happening in the United States, which affects everyone downwind, it definitely affects everyone on the internet. How things just keep escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating. Okay. So the first thing that you do is think about how you can de-escalate that conflict, how you can talk people off the ledge, okay? And so I've been sitting there and thinking about this problem for, quite a few weeks now as I've watched this stuff getting worse and worse, and it feels like it's spiraling. Anyone who, people are disengaging from world events because it's too much. Okay, emotionally, it's too much. I understand that. Okay, people are just logging off, which is a mistake because, like I said, not paying attention to this stuff makes the problem worse because you need to show up. You need to interfere with this stuff. You need to intervene, right? Somehow. But the interventions aren't working because people are just doubling down and doubling down and doubling down, and they have been for years. Okay, so this is not a problem. It hasn't happened in a vacuum, okay? Which is that it's been interesting watching this Elon Musk business. Now, I think that a lot of people don't understand that Elon Musk is a very good example of this, which is someone who used to be liberal, I guess, for lack of no billionaire is liberal, okay? Most billionaires just want... But at some point, he was a guy whose politics, he could have been reached. Okay. Now, I'm speaking simply. I don't know the man, reverse engineering it. But what we've watched, and this has happened with Joe Rogan, this has happened with a number of people, okay? Lots of people, where they're bricked now. Absolutely fucking bricked, okay? But what happened? I've watched this because I went through it. And, I try not to double down, and I've managed to maintain my sanity a little bit as a result. And I think that that's where the answer is, which is that nobody seems willing to sort of reflect and go, where did this go wrong? What was the turning point for this person? And I've also been watching some internet debates, okay, with people who are obviously in a bit deep. Okay, so they're kind of, they were Trump supporters. They've sort of been online. They're not really thinking about it. They're just about the Twitter clapback and, they're all about the culture wars. But really when the rubber hits the road and they start getting agencies defunded and Elon Musk has moved in, you start to see that sort of where people are like, oh, okay. And then they either double down. Now, we know this about cults. Okay, so the thing about cults is that every time there's some sort of shock or a prophecy that doesn't come true, some people fall away and some people double down. Like that's how they sort of They shrink in size, but get more and more intense, okay, in their beliefs. And it becomes harder and harder to sort of talk them out of it, right? Now, MAGA's a cult, okay, at this point, okay? At this point, I've always, like it is well and truly a cult, okay? But there are other cults. And a lot of people are focused on the cult of MAGA, but there are other cults online. And I think we need to look at why people join cults for a start. Usually what it is that they're vulnerable to cults, okay? The reason why cults prey on the vulnerable, like people, sorry, I'm still getting over COVID. So if I fade a little bit or I'm a little bit like yucky in the voice and stuff, it's because I've still got COVID. Okay. And it's like COVID-y, fever, like everything. You can be fine and then very not fine. Like so, okay. But there's a reason why cults prey on the vulnerable. And because they're looking for, people fall into drugs or people fall into addiction, or if you've sort of done any work around addictions or lived with someone with addictions, you know that it's not necessarily about the substance or it's about them trying to find something more, I guess. Okay. Now, again, that's a complex area. But how do you de-escalate that when people are just... And again, I've been sitting and observing some of these conversations, and a lot of... Again, I have to generalize, but, a lot of the left, like liberals all the way over to sort of socialists, that's a very broad tent, okay? But your traditional mainstream Democrat left, centre right, but quibble, okay? Trying to figure out how to reach people, okay? Trying to figure out how to reach people in a way where they really they understand and grasp the implications of what is going on right now. Okay. Okay, so Craig said we have a special state legislator election in Iowa, USA. You're a good American. You said USA. Sometimes Americans just say Iowa and expect... We know what Iowa is, but I'm just saying you're one of the good ones. I will continue reading as a result. A Democrat won by 4 points in a district. Trump just won by 21 just a few months before. Small bits of hope have to start somewhere. Well, yes. But I think the focus needs to shift away from winning. I think that's, yes, there's hope, but how is Democrats winning in an election? Like, that doesn't mean that people are okay. It doesn't mean that the problem goes away. We've seen this. The problem didn't go away just because Trump ceased to be elected. Like, these problems have been going on. Again, yes, I'm acknowledging what you're saying. Yes, there are small bits of hope. But voting behaviour is complex. And why people vote there's lots and lots of reasons why people vote certain ways. That could just be that the local member or local representative is more popular than the other, right? Or, yes, people can be negatively polarised against Trump, but at the same time, that doesn't make the problem go away. We've still got a cult problem when it comes to, I'm mostly talking about online, but the online impact does go, it is downwind electorally, right? Doesn't make the problem go away. Yes, you get the result. This is the short-term thinking. Well, if we win the election, the problem goes away. And it's like, well, no, it doesn't go away because you've still got the problem of brain rot and people who are angry, people who are vulnerable to radicalization. So the term is totalism, okay, not totalitarianism. Totalitarianism is a system of government where there is totalism in thinking, okay? America is already totalist in the way that it thinks in terms of its two-party system. You might call it polarization, but in terms of the actual political psychology, is totalism, okay? It is black and white thinking. So if you've just like, again, I just want to move on and just get to my sort of broader point about how to de-escalate these, how to get away from black and white thinking and what people can do, which is people haven't recovered from, and this is something that I was looking at, right? So Stephen Hassan's book, I hope you read it because I recommended it, Matthew, because like all of these years, because I've been recommending it for so many years, and then you start to see it. But the cult of Trump. Yeah, and exactly. So that book, that one, The Cult of Trump, is good, but the one before that he wrote, which is more about cults are not about belief, but about behavior. Okay, so it behaves like a cult. Okay, now Democrats, corporate Democrats, if you go under Blue Sky, it behaves like a cult too. Okay, and just because the Democrats win doesn't mean that the problem of online cults goes away necessarily. So I just want to push back a little bit on that, Craig, for that reason, and say that electoral victories are short-term thinking. You might think that's a victory, but it doesn't mean that the problem itself goes away. And this is what I'm talking about with the online stuff and the cults. Okay. Which is that I've been observing, so when Elon Musk moved in and went after USAID, right? USAID, okay. I was looking at both sides' coverage. And it's really interesting. If you've been following sort of Joe Rogan's journey, and a lot of people have, I'm not the first one, but if you've been sitting there, excuse me, I apologize. I got COVID. I have to say it 100 times. I've got COVID. So it's just, but if you've been watching Joe Rogan's journey, and if you actually also look at, I need to, let me frame this. I'm coming at this so that you need to understand where I'm going so that I don't get derailed. And so I'm heading to conflict resolution models because I'm interested in mediation and de-escalation and conflict resolution and how we can apply that in our online lives, in our relationships and friendships and all that sort of stuff. So that's where I'm heading. Okay. But obviously, because I understand sort of the tech and political side of things, I'm trying to sort of create some context for why I arrived where I did. So if you just bear with me. I will just, I'll try my best to engage with long chats. It does derail a little bit, but I'll do my best. Okay. But yes, so you are correct. So you're on the whole infrastructure of hate. Actually, you've got me. See, sometimes chats derail and sometimes they get me back on target. Thank you, Craig, for being one of the ones that gets me back on topic, which is that there's a whole infrastructure of hate media. Okay. And he's correct. People who feel compelled to vote based on small-minded things. I'm feeling and hearing the anger all about and urge people to keep their sense of humour in the face of it all. I'm reading this out for people who are just sort of listening after the replay. And I'm feeling and hearing the anger all about and urge people to keep their sense of humour in the face of it all. The pushback is welcome, and I realise it's only a blip. That little win. Yeah. And also hope is incremental. Like you've one foot in front of the other every day, if you are in a place where you're feeling hopeless and feeling despondent and feeling, especially if you're in a position where, you might want to end it or something, more severe than that. Just remember that. Just sleep on it. One more day. Things can change, things can get ugly very quickly, but things can get better quickly too. Okay, and I think as much as I opened it with where the fuck are these people, a lot of them are not. They're organising because they understand that this is like there's a like sniper thing, not literally, but maybe literally, but there's a situation where they have to get it right. They get one shot. Okay, and so it takes a little while to get your legal stuff and all those things done. So I again, being charitable, I'm just. rhetorically wondering where the fucking money went from all this. So where's the money? All of these fucking people that were paid to save democracy. It's like very quiet right now. Anyway, they wrote a lot of white papers about the problem, not a lot about the solutions. Anyway, the solutions were the opposite to what the solution actually is. So let's get to conflict resolution. So I'm really passionate about mediation.